it's also pretty obvious in other ways. Um, Everyone has seen probably, or a lot of people have probably seen the different signs or symbols of the Illuminati. Um, People, Beyonce and Jay-Z and all these people would like joke about it and say, or, kind of make fun of it. There's plenty of pictures. I mean, obviously, of all these people, you see Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga, Eminem, Tom Brady, Angelina Jolie, um, all these people are doing the, one eye Illuminati symbol. Um, and then there's also some other ones that are common in, if you, I wouldn't say, I guess, common, but I've mentioned it in the past video, the butterfly, the monarch butterfly representing Project Monarch, and the program that would target and abuse kids to try to get split personalities for different, purposes. Then there's the checkerboard. Well, let me do it. The owl first. Um, Represents a, a one representation would be Bohemian Grove, which is a place that a lot of people may, or it's pretty well known now, or I feel like it's kind of like Area 51. Like it was one of those things that people didn't think was real, and then it came out that it was real, and now a lot of people know about it. But it's a place where supposedly all these rich people in business and politics and all that go to just kind of hang out and have fun. Um, but there's a giant effigy of this owl. Um, it's called the Statue of Care. Here you can kind of see it. That's not as good of a picture. I guess this is a little bit better. But there's been videos of people that have like broken to Bohemian Grove and gone around, and there's like just owl stuff all over the place. Um, and like I already showed, with the owl representing wisdom and these people seeming to like, or here you go. The owl symbolizes knowledge, wisdom, and the club's motto, weaving spiders come not here. Uh, the statue is a centerpiece of the Cremation of Care, a theatrical performance staged on the first night of the 2-week summer encampment. There's also been stories like in Trance, Kathy O'Brien's book. She talked about being taken there and abused, and a lot of the horrible things that go on there. Now it's probably too public. Well, I mean, I don't know. They still are arrogant enough to probably do it, even though even though people suspect things go on there. Um, Here, of course, conspiracy theories often describe a conspiracy theorist as a site of occult rituals. It definitely is. I mean, they literally do a ritual where right here where it says they symbolically burn an effigy to banish worldly cares, or effigy or real person, who knows. So there's, with the owl representing wisdom and all that, 666, the sign of the beast. Numerology is another big thing. I'll get back to that later with another video, but like 33 is something that's really like it's like supposedly the highest degree for Freemasons, like 33rd degree Freemason is supposedly the highest level. Um, but there's all kinds of other things with numerology that's like really big. But then the checkerboard, the black and white, that has to do with something called the Hegelian dialectic, which I learned about from one of Jim Marrs' books. It's kind of, hold on, let me see, because when I was trying to look at it earlier, it seemed like it was overly complicating the explanation, but I can't remember. Yeah, here you go. So it's the framework for understanding historical and social progress through the conflict of opposing forces. So you have the thesis, which is the existing state, which you already have, the antithesis, which is opposite, the opposition of what you already have, and then synthesis, which is supposedly the resolution. Um, Prevailing versus there was something I wanted. Oh, well, has to do with incorporates both creates new contradicting conflict resolves into a new, more complex state. Incorporates elements of both. Um, Here you go. In popularism, modern applications often analyze the master-slave dialectic as a parallel to the struggle between the people and elite, where the marginalized seek recognition and challenge established power. So it's kind of what you see in our society. You have the elites and then everyone else. That's supposedly the only two options. The middle class, you can't have a middle. Um, And then here it says some interpretations suggest the dialectic is used intentionally in political maneuvering to engineer specific predetermined outcomes by creating or manipulating crises and reactions to justify a desired solution. Um, you could look at 9/11 for an example of that, I guess you would say, because they here, if you see manipulating crises and reactions to justify a desired solution. The desired solution would be passing the Patriot Act and then all the oversteps um, government was allowed from it, and their ability to just completely see and track and follow every single thing you say, do. It that's that could be an example of that. They were reacting to the crisis of 9/11 and everyone's reactions and saying, terrorists are the threat. We got to, make sure that all these intelligence agencies have more access so that way they can keep us safe. And um, that wasn't, the real reason. There was other ulterior motives for sure. Um, so there's that. And then here's an article I looked at before when I was doing some research for something else. Um, it's an article. God damn if I don't quit doing that. It's an article where this page, I guess you'd say, the Vigilant Citizen. There's been a few articles about this type of thing, but particularly this one was specific to kind of what I was talking about. But um, there's been articles about how there's symbolism in ceremonies like the Olympic Games, like the opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies, stuff like that. And here was one that was pretty interesting, I thought. Um, that seemed like it was a ritual to Baal. So as you can see, I've already said um, Baal's represented by a bull. Um, Here you have Lord Voldemort over a bunch of children laying in beds. So that's kind of creepy in hindsight. All these little kids just laying out. Oh, Illuminati parade. You can see the triangle there for the Illuminati. It says the entire ceremony revolved around a goat man who was praised and revered by dirty and confused people who represent the masses. So that's Pan, um, Commonwealth. Here they are going around with the bull horns, devil horns, whatever you want to call it. Here comes the giant bull. A women pulling chains. They drop the chains, and the bull gets angry, starts stomping around. A woman holding a shard of light, a reoccurring symbol throughout the ceremony, tames the bull. The woman who stopped the bull is now riding it while holding a shard of light above her head. People around the bull do the same. So you can see everyone around holding up lights. Then they prostrate themselves to the bull. They are bowing down to the bull. And here you can see here's an old image, Baal being offered a child while everyone else is around praising and bowing and kneeling. Um, so, what is this? Baal worship was rooted in sensuality and involved ritualistic prostitution in the temples. At times, appeasing Baal required human sacrifice, usually the firstborn of the one making the sacrifice. The priests of Baal appealed to their god in rites of wild abandon, which included loud, ecstatic cries and self-inflicted injury. And now they've just got it on display. Um, so there's just one example. If you watch there's all kinds of public displays of this religion, of these beliefs that these elites have. And then kind of the last little section here is how it, although it's a religion, science is kind of used to mask the religion, and it also kind of goes hand in hand with the religion because some of the scientific advances are in the purpose of assisting in the religion, I guess you'd say, or the goals of the religion. So you see here, you can see this is at CERN, which I don't know exactly what that even stands for. Oh shit. CERN, European Organization for Nuclear Research, known as CERN, is an intergovernmental organization that operates the largest particle physics laboratory in the world. Based in Marin, which is Geneva. Okay, so there's that. Sorry, let me close these. So that's what that is. And out front, they have a giant statue of Shiva, the Hindu god of creation and destruction. Um, so it's a little unsettling, I guess you could say.
Thanks to you, last year, Preborn helped rescue over 80,000 babies, and today you can help save even more. Every single day, thousands of women hear the same devastating.
Hold on. I don't think this is working. It's not working the way I wanted. Um, here's a
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it
video
just by thinking
from
about it.
Ken's
Meet Base
podcast.
44.
Again,
You can
she's
throw away that.
Catholic, she's Christian, so she has that perspective on it. But for me, it was more about it's not what her beliefs are. It's about the beliefs of the elites, and she kind of does a good job of going over that here. Um, let me get it set up properly in Memento. All right, and this one, I'm probably going to play a good amount of this one.
A lot of people are kind of now just going to church or just starting to pick up a Bible. So I can back this up for you. The story of man, just so you guys know, you're not an ape. You can throw away that chart. The biblical recap here: Satan is struck down by the archangel Saint Michael after a battle of good versus evil in heaven. So because Satan is leading this rebellion against God, the rebellion fails. He is obviously expelled, and as a result, he no longer has access to God. This is our true history, our true heritage. This is what actually happened. Like I said, you're not a monkey. At middle school charts of, oh, here's what happened, and then you were like, oh, the Australopithecus, and then it was a Homo sapien. That's just nonsense, quote unquote science. Now, these fallen angels, so to speak, also known as demons, then mate with humans. They produce Nephilim, giants, and their demonic pursuit never actually ends. They are still seeking to triumph God. So that enters in the story of Nimrod and him building this Tower of Babel as a return to heaven. So, like I said, the biblical story is that as Nimrod is constructing this tower, God confuses language amongst the people, forcing them to abandon the project because they can't communicate with one another. So, can't speak, we can't build this tower. So Ron Skiba's theory, if you're suspending, again, theological debate for a moment, I'm just telling you because we're looking into what he is saying the elites are after. His theory is that at the moment that occurred, once languages were confused, Nimrod became known as different names: Baal, Tammuz, Gilgamesh, and like I said, he is positing this. You can see this whole list: Dionysus, Bacchus. Yes, there is synergy between those cults and the practices, without question, historically speaking. Now, he's discussing this because he believes that the elites view Nimrod and or Gilgamesh as the Antichrist that they are working to try to resurrect for exactly that reason. And he reminds audiences that Gilgamesh, per the epic, was 2/3 God and 1/3 man. Take a listen. Super interesting.
Gilgamesh is said to be part God, part man. Jesus is God and man, right? Well, there's a similarity there. The Epic of Gilgamesh says that he was 1/3 man and 2/3 God. What's 1/3 of 100? 33.33%. What's 2/3? 66.6%.
And there's like the numerology aspect that I was mentioning. Humans, 33.333 repeating percent. That's highest degree of Freemasonry, 33. So I guess that's the highest level of human you can get, supposedly. And then the 2/3, the other half, 666, the sign of the beast, that's the part that I guess we need to, that these elites believe we need to mesh with to become gods, I guess is the idea.
Interesting. And the 1/3 part of man, we are carbon-based organisms, right? The carbon molecule has 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, 6 protons. So just by default, the number man would be 666 by virtue of the carbon molecule. But this guy's got 6s all over him. Look up CERN. It's a very interesting facility. Look at this thing. The thing's huge. It's the Hadron Super Collider. Their stated objective is to recreate the Big Bang. Now, I don't believe in evolution myself, but I remember them teaching me evolution in school, and they said we got here from a Big Bang, right? So if we got here according to the way you think, and you want to, by a Big Bang, and you want to recreate the Big Bang, that can't be a good thing. They're trying to find the God particle. You know, what in the world are these guys doing? Look at their logo. It looks like 3 6s on top of each other. And everybody wants to talk about the separation of science and religion, right? They're usually seems like they're like this, right? You know, they're diametrically opposed. Well, it's interesting that all these scientists and people working over there at CERN decide to put the religious statue of the Hindu god Shiva outside the front door. Shiva is the god of destruction. They put the god of destruction, a huge statue dancing, looks like it's coming through a portal.
Like I said, you guys, please don't email me about whether or not you agree with him presenting this. Last time when I mentioned the Shiva Dionysus thing, people were like, no, Shiva is not Dionysus. There's so many books on that say that that's what it is, and they are written by people that are Hindu. You guys can disagree amongst yourselves. I am just fascinated trying to get to the bottom of what it is that the elites believe, and it is just a fact that they do have that Shiva structure at CERN. CERN is obviously evil. I showed you guys the video of what they were doing, this ritual. These are quote unquote scientists that are dressed up in robes, stabbing someone, and they never gave an answer for this. Somebody caught them, recorded this, and they're like, oh, that was a joke. No further questions, no further answers. Shut this down. Something much deeper is going on here, something much more demonic. And the reason why I find this to be fascinating is because it's everything that I have learned studying Sigmund Freud. It's all coming together. I told you Sigmund Freud was a Satanist. He created a social science. You're talking about that blending of science and religion. You think it's different. It's not. Sigmund Freud is explicit that they create this science to mask their religion. Their religion consists of ritualistic sacrifice, harming innocent children. But if you say, I'm a doctor, I'm an expert, then suddenly, okay, people go, oh, okay, it's not that. This is not some demonic faith. Essentially, what Sigmund Freud is famous for is developing a breakthrough strategy for the elites. When they want to accomplish something from a religious perspective, all they have to do is present it to the public as a scientific breakthrough. Go back to COVID, right? Oh, the stay at home, save lives. What were they actually doing? We don't know what they were doing. We know what they weren't doing. They weren't creating a vaccine that guarded you against COVID. Roll up your sleeves. Let us inject you. What were they actually injecting into people's arms? We're the experts. Dr. We're experts. That's all it takes. And people will suddenly begin to listen to these people and follow them as though they were religious leaders. So this brings me back to a 23andMe. If you follow that train of thought that they are actually doing things from a religious angle, a demonic angle, but they're presenting it as a science, what was this mass campaign to effectively collect everybody on Earth's DNA by saying, oh, look, we're going to help you with your ancestry? Well, take a listen to what Ron Skiba says.
It's so easy to become a podcaster with Riverside. You just need a concept and a way to record it. Here's
2000.
All right, I'm almost done with this clip, but this last little part I want to show.
3, the body of Gilgamesh was found in the desert of Iraq. And I heard a recent interview with Tom Horn and Steve Quayle talking on Omega Man Radio. I'm just going to play a snippet of their radio show. This is what they had to say about this find.
Imagine the startling proposition that the Nephilim, the giants, the mighty men of old, the gods and children of the Watchers, could somehow rise up, could somehow be reconstituted inside of a body. And of course, I've discussed with you before my theory that one of the greatest legends in history could be a record of that having actually happened. And I'm referring to Nimrod, who some scholars also identify as Gilgamesh of Sumerian fame, Apollo of Greek fame, Osiris of Egyptian fame. And this Gilgamesh was a giant who a lot of people didn't even believe was anything more than myth until his grave marker was found a few years back. And then, according to some people, the military swooped in and took possession and control of that dig.
Hey, Tom, I want to interject something. I talked to a special operations general who validated that, and his words were he was in a state of remarkable preservation, okay? He said they have Gilgamesh's remains. So if they have Gilgamesh and he is Nimrod, they got it. And the whole point was to extract the DNA. And I've also been told that the whole point, and this is germane to what we're talking about, of the Human Genome Project is to locate specific genetic markers for the disembodied spirits to reanimate their host body that's brought back.
Interesting that the U.S. military started its military occupation phase of Iraq 1 month later. We all know we went into Iraq under false pretenses, right? They told us weapons of mass destruction, right? They said that we didn't find weapons of mass destruction, but I have a feeling we found the weapon of mass destruction, and we set up shop there immediately after that and established 500 military bases in the largest embassy of any other embassy on the entire planet in Babylon. Interesting.
How crazy.
So with all that, all this stuff to do with DNA for Gilgamesh, supposedly the military found Gilgamesh in the Middle East. But if you go back to the Epstein files, all the stuff with the interest in DNA and genealogy and the sex cult stuff and fertility cult stuff, like all of it kind of pieces together. And here's another figure that was pretty important. Candace mentioned Sigmund Freud. This lady, Madame Blavatsky, she is the founder of the Theosophical Society, which, what the hell? Oh man, I don't know what happened. Hold on. I don't know what happened to my link. But here's founded in 1875 by Helena Blavatsky and Henry Alcott. It's an international organization dedicated to promoting the unity of all life through the study of comparative religion, philosophy, science, and occultism. Aims to foster a universal brotherhood without distinction of race, creed, or sex, exploring the wisdom of the ages to aid personal spiritual transformation. So, there you go. It's basically, it combines kind of religion, science, the occult. It kind of brings all those things together that go along with this, occult worship of Baal. And here's another intersection that's pretty interesting. Here you have Jack Parsons, and here's Aleister Crowley, who was big in the Order Templi Orientis, OTO. He had, which all three of these people, Jack Parsons was in NASA. The other two, and obviously L. Ron Hubbard up here, the founder of Scientology, they had connections to intelligence, and the occult. They were all involved with that. Crowley was kind of the leader. And then Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard kind of jumped on with him. But this Jack Parsons dude, he was an American rocket engineer, chemist, and Thelemite occultist, which Thelema was the thing that like Aleister Crowley had came up with. He invented the first rocket engine to use castable composite rocket propellant and pioneered the advancement of both liquid fuel and solid fuel rockets. So I'll come back to him. And then there's L. Ron Hubbard, who I wanted to show here. He is the founder of Scientology, but he also has is recognized in the Guinness Book of World Records as one of the most prolific authors in history, with 1,084 published books. His massive literary output spans both fiction and nonfiction, including foundational Dianetics of Scientology. So this massive science fiction writer creates a religion, and when you read the religion, it sounds like science fiction, but um, there's also ideas that maybe he learned some stuff from being in the occult. Um, and here's one of the connections he had with Jack Parsons. Um, let me see. Here it is. They said they became close friends when L. Ron Hubbard was a Navy officer, and he moved to the same area. And then here, so Jack Parsons and his wife had an open relationship as part of the polyamorous OTO sex ethics, and she got hooked on L. Ron Hubbard and eventually ended up leaving Jack Parsons for L. Ron Hubbard. And L. Ron Hubbard like kind of left Jack Parsons, like kind of screwed him over and left him bankrupt. He took his money, took his wife, and then went and started a religion where he got a lot more money. So that was, I thought that was pretty messed up. But it was also saying here how Parsons was really into, he devoted his energies to conducting black magic because he was jealous, even though he wasn't supposed to be. And it says that other people from the OTO were getting worried, and he told residents he was imbuing statues in the house with magical energy in order to sell them to fellow occultists. Parsons reported paranormal events in the house resulting from the rituals, including poltergeist activity, sightings of orbs and ghostly apparitions. Parsons began a series of rituals based on Enochian magic, during which he masturbated onto magical tablets, accompanied by Sergei Prokofiev's second violin concerto. Here's the part. Describing the magical operation as the Babylon working, he hoped to bring about the incarnation of Thelemite goddess Babylon on earth. He allowed Hubbard to take part as his scribe, believing that he was particularly sensitive to detecting magical phenomena. As described by Richard Metzger, Parsons jerked off in the name of spiritual advancement while Hubbard scanned the astral plane for signs and visions. So there's rumors that they actually did conjure up something, and that's kind of maybe what aliens are. That they're, these interdimensional beings or whatever that were conjured up in these rituals, which Crowley too was really big into sex rituals, sex magic. So that was another aspect of the idea of abusing kids. The idea of doing things that are unnatural was supposed to somehow, I guess, enhance the magic or the capabilities. And then here, lastly, I had this Robert Oppenheimer quote after he was being interviewed about the nuclear bomb, and he said, his first thought was, "Now I'm become death, the destroyer of worlds," and that's from the Bhagavad Gita, which is like a Hindu scripture. Saying misinterpretation. There was Vishnu often tells fulfill his duty. What the hell? What about that? I swear I looked this up earlier and it said something different. All right, here we go. Krishna, as an avatar of Vishnu, explains to a reluctant prince, Arjuna, that he must fulfill his duty as a warrior, as fate is already determined and everyone is ultimately destined to die. So that's the idea that the guy that helped create the nuke came up with. And while they were making the nuke, there was a point where they thought they might even blow up the whole atmosphere and kill everyone, but they were still like, well, got to do it. But here, those are some more examples of how science kind of mixes in with this religion, with what the elites believe, their worship of Baal, Lucifer, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, hopefully that gave a good like overview to um, help help you understand maybe some of what was in the Epstein files, what was coming out, what these people believe, why they do what they do. It's wild times. It's wild times. So, yeah, I think that's gonna do it. If you made it this far, please like, subscribe, share. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time, and see you in the next one.